Thank you. Bonsoir à tous et à toutes. Good evening, everybody. My name is Janan Arafa, and I'm serving my second term as a board of director for the Association of Palestinian Arab Canadians, APAC. Thank you all for being here. As you know, the municipal elections are coming up. It's my understanding that the early voting has begun. If you haven't had the chance to vote yet, make sure you go on Monday, October 22nd. As an elector, you will have the opportunity to vote for a mayor, a councillor, depending on your ward, as well as school board trustees. The Association of Palestinian Arab Canadians, APAC, as you know, brings together members from different communities for cultural and educational events, such as this evening. And APAC is particularly proud to see that this year's candidates for the municipal elections are part of our community. And so we're delighted to have them here tonight to engage in fruitful discussions about issues that touch us directly. Joining me in speaking on behalf of APAC is Mr. Jabbar Hamid, who's serving his second term as the association's president. Help me welcome Mr. Jabbar Hamid.
Thank you, Janan. حخلي الإنجليزي لجنان. I'm going to speak with you بالعربي طبعا. أولا شكرا جنان. مساء الخير جميعا وشكرا على تلبيتكم لهذه الأمسية اللي باسمي جمال حامد رئيس الجمعية العربية الفلسطينية والأعضاء البورد تاعنا هنا يعني بشغلهم الجبار. وطبعا نشكر الأخ خالد عبد الجبار اللي حطيناه رئيس يعني ليرأس هاي الكوميتي يكون مسؤول عنها بخبرته بالتصوير وبالشغلات هذه. فالجمعية العربية الفلسطينية يعني عندنا بالفعل أسد زي خالد عبد الجبار. وطبعا الأخ جيري عبسي ما بننساه طبعا دعايته للإيفنت لإلنا. فكل هدول يعني الجالية الفلسطينية والعربية مليئة بالفعل بالأسيتس اللي عندنا هون. ومن هون يعني هاي الليلة الأمسية هذه هي لأول مرة أعتقد بالجاليات العربية بتنعمل. وهي يعني بالفعل احنا كرئيس الجمعية العربية الفلسطينية بفتخر أن نكون أول جالية من نعمل هاي أمسية زي هيك لنشجع أولادنا وشبابنا وإخواننا وأخواتنا طبعا ليكونوا بالمجال السياسي بكل مجالات الحكومة. طبعا بما إني إلي 27 سنة في هالبلد في كندا، للأسف كنا شايفين إنه الجالية العربية والإسلامية في أوتوا يعني اهتمامهم السياسي سواء على المستوى البلدية أو مستوى الولاية أو مستوى الفيدرال طبعا متقاعسين شوية ومقصرين شوية خاصة بالانتخابات والذهاب للانتخابات. فعملنا هاي الأمسية بإخوة إلنا هنا من الجالية العربية والإسلامية في أوتوا and we I think endorse them كجالية فلسطينية كجمعية عربية فلسطينية إنه يكونوا الوجوه للجالية العربية والإسلامية في أوتوا. لأنه أعتقد بخروجهم من هاي الجالية حيعرفوا المصاعب اللي بتواجهها الجالية العربية في أوتوا وبنقدر نوصلهم ويكونوا الصوت لإلنا. ومن هون بنرحب فيهم طبعا جميعا ونتمنى لهم بالتوفيق طبعا إن شاء الله. وإن شاء الله بنشوفكم الجميعا. طبعا مايكل كاكيش إلي شنتير اعتذر، عندنا أكثر من واحد اعتذروا إن الليل يكونوا موجودين. فلذلك نرجو من الجميع إنه مايكل is coming. أنا بحكي عن إلي شنتيري. مايكل coming in 5-10 minutes يعني إن شاء الله لارتباطه بحفل أو بإيفنت كان. بدعو كل الجالية العربية الفلسطينية إنهم لازم يحطوا صوتهم ويكون صوتهم واضح حتى نودي مين مسؤول عنا يكون لنا صوتنا بالبلدية. فلذلك بنشجع الجميع إنهم يكونوا يروحوا اللي ما انتخب ب 22 شهر يكون يروح للانتخابات إن شاء الله. نشكر الأخ جوني خوري هنا طبعا معنا في كل إيفنت يعني جوني راح نعطيه الجنسية الفلسطينية كمان زي جيري عطنا إياها أوريدي. فأهلا وسهلا فيكم، أهلا وسهلا بالكانديديت. طبعا اللي عنده سؤال، اللي عنده اهتمام للإخوة الكانديديت هون go ahead and ask them now and tell them what you want إن شاء الله. وشكرا ويعطيكم. بكرة في انتخابات طبعا مبكرة، واللي ما بقدر يروح بكرة يكون يوم 22 الشهر إن شاء الله. وشكرا ويسعد مساكم. I will give the microphone to our lady Janan, which is our amazing lawyer here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jamal Hamid. So, of course, this event could not be possible without a key player, Mr. Khaled Jabbar. And it really is an honor to be introducing him. So, Mr. Khaled Jabbar is an award-winning video director and producer for a broad range of video productions. He is the founder of Future Vision Productions, a renowned TV production company serving Canada and the MENA region. He is a creative storyteller and media content creator. He holds 2 bachelor degrees in cinematography and radio and television from Southern Illinois University, USA. We are so privileged to have him amongst us this evening, and he will be the moderator for the discussions. Help me welcome Mr. Khaled Jabbar.
مساء الخير. Thank you, Jinan and Jamal, for this amazing opportunity. I'm very proud to be working on this panel discussion and with the APAC board. Please, a big round of applause for both of them for a great introduction. كنا حابين الانتخابات تكون زي تبعت بلادنا، كنافة ومناسف وقهوة وهيك، بس we don't have time for that. I guess صوتي كويس? You can come back tomorrow. Yes. So, I'm okay. Okay, that's nice. Please, Michael, أهلا وسهلا. تفضل. ما راح عليك شيء، بس مناسف وقهوة شوية كنافة. Okay, so to start with, before I start, I would like to ask you who among our audiences have actually done the advanced vote? Raise your hands. Okay. Nice, thank you for doing that, but that's كتير صغير الرقم, so we need more. Okay. So, many thanks and appreciation to our guests for participating in this very important event where we offer the candidates a platform to engage with our Arabic community. On the other hand, it is a way to contribute to the development of our community by offering an insight to the candidates' strategy and agendas. Arab families are big families, منبز كتير يعني. And we have a high number of voters. It is very important that we as a community contribute to the municipal decision making and encourage voter participation as a community, which can enable us to tip the balance at any municipal elections. I hope this event will achieve its goal, and maybe next term we can have female municipal candidates in our panel discussion. And we hope this would inspire our youth to engage and take part in shaping the future of our beautiful city, Ottawa. Now, for a very quick introduction of our candidates. A proud resident of Barrhaven with a degree in psychology and double minor in French and Italian from the University of Ottawa, he made sure he left his mark not only in the heart of each student, but on every brick at the university. Formerly the president and CEO of the Student Federation of the University of Ottawa, a radio host and a TV host for Kaleidoscope Serious Show with Rogers TV. Please help me welcome Hadi Wes. Hadi, you have 2 minutes to introduce us to your campaign.
Good evening, everyone. Bonsoir tout le monde. Thank you, first of all, Mr. Khaled, for this amazing introduction, and to everyone that participated making this event happen tonight. Moi, je m'appelle Hadi Wes et je me présente pour être votre conseiller municipal pour le quartier numéro 3 à Barrhaven. Avant que je commence, je voudrais reconnaître qu'on est sur le territoire algonquin non cédé. So as Mr. Khaled mentioned, my name is Hari West. I'm running to become the next city councilor for Barrhaven Ward 3. I'm a radio anchor on Chin Radio. I'm a TV host with Rogers TV. And as mentioned, I served as the president of the Student Federation of the University of Ottawa, representing 36,000 amazing students, then moved on to the national level to represent all Francophone and Francophile students across the country. I also served as the founder and president of the Arab Students Association at the university and the president of the Italian Students Association. I guess they couldn't find Italians that speak Italian, so they gave it to me. Yeah, so I'm not going to go on forever about what I've done because we're going to discuss it all tonight, but I'm very, very honored and humbled to stand before you all today to share my vision and experience. Throughout my experience in the student movement and other causes, I have gained a lot of experiences and knowledge and skills that enabled me to serve on different levels of governance. And tonight and throughout this election, I'm transforming my experience to serve on the municipal level. I am a firm believer in consultation. I think face-to-face consultation is also the best. Residents, when you're representing people, you need to be able to understand their concerns. So I'm very honored to have knocked on 19,000 homes so far throughout Barrhaven. I'll save the details for tonight, but again, I'm very excited to be amongst a panel of people of my community and the Canadian community because we pride ourselves to be Canadians as we pride ourselves by our own heritage. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hadi. As an educator, teaching locally and abroad, he understands the challenges that youth, students, and families experience. He is presently the Finance Commissioner for the Graduate Student Association for the University of Ottawa. He also worked as a facility operator and a youth program coordinator with the city. A graduate in law and political science, he is aware of the importance of representing constituents with integrity, transparency, and leadership. He speaks English, French, Arabic, and Spanish. You can usually catch him along with his wife Catherine taking a walk with their boxer around Monis Bay area. Please help me welcome Hasib Rida.
Hello, thank you all for coming. Bonsoir. Bonsoir. I'm very pleased to be here today. I think it's, like as Hadi suggested, it's a very humbling experience to come and speak in front of people of my local community. I was born in Lebanon, but I came here when I was 2 years old, and like many Lebanese people, you know, I grew up in the south, and was able to build a strong community bond with a lot of other Arabs that live in the community. So yeah, it's nice to see a lot of familiar faces out here today. For my professional experience, I spent most of my life as an educator. I spent a lot of time I lived in Guatemala, I lived in Costa Rica and Colombia. So I was a bit of a nomad traveling around and trying to refine some of my skills and kind of discover myself, as some people might suggest. So I decided back in the winter to go back to school and pursue my Master of Education because I'm truly passionate about education and how we can bridge that to help actually resolve a lot of issues that we're currently facing in our city. If you've watched some of my debates and some of my discussions, I always point to education as a solution to a lot of the problems we're currently facing. So I'm very glad to have you all out here, and I look forward to the discussion, and I want to welcome my fellow colleagues up here at the front, and I'm very pleased to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Hasib. Born and raised in the Southgate area, with a very strong passion for our community, and first and foremost, a family man. Owner of one of the oldest businesses in South Keys, proud to continue the vision that his father Khaled had for their family business at KS Restaurant. Promising to only run for 2 terms, as he believes strongly that public service should not be treated as a career. Please help me welcome Robert Swaita.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and thank you to APAC for putting this on. This is probably one of the most important times in our city's history. This city needs change. Many of the wards that we live in don't necessarily reflect the diversity in our communities. I decided to run because our area in Gloucester Southgate has been neglected for such a long time. Kathir khair Allah, business at my restaurant that my father gave to me is very good. I'm not doing this because I want a job. I'm doing this because I care about the community that's been so good to me and my family for many years. We need to bring change to our area. We need to ensure that our politicians understand that the issues that we face are real. One of the biggest issues in the ward that I'm running in is crime. And unfortunately, a lot of that crime is committed by our people. And I know this is a very sensitive topic, but we need to address it. We need somebody who understands the issues, who understands what our children are facing. I've been very fortunate. My father moved here from Lebanon back in 1950. I was born and raised here. And I feel that I can bridge the gap that exists today between our youth and our police and our community. It is very important that we start taking care of the people that mean the most to us, our children. I have 3 kids that go to school in my area, and I don't want them not to have the same opportunities that I had when I was growing up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert. Born in Toronto with a degree in psychology from Carleton University, he enjoys running and is a certified tennis instructor. I wonder لمين طالع. He has extensive media background, including past contributor to CTV National, a former columnist with the Hill Times, as well as a host for the morning show on Shin Radio. Having worked at the 3 levels of the government in Ottawa, in 2014 municipal elections, he was elected to office as a city councillor for Ward 22, Gloucester, South Nepean. He also serves on multiple boards and committees at City Hall. Please welcome our experienced councillor, Michael Kakhish.
Thank you, Khaled. Did you say a former communist? Is that what I heard? مساء الخير للجميع. And I just want to clarify, when Robert says change and politicians, he's not talking about me. He's talking about the 23 other races. First of all, I want to thank you all for taking the time out to listen to some of the candidates and my colleagues that are here. And I want to thank APAC and the president, Jabbar, for everything you've done to organize this, along with your board of directors on APAC. Khaled for moderating, and of course the legendary Jerry Apsey too, from Chin Radio, our colleague and great community leader and one of my mentors. As you know, I've had the honor and pleasure to serve at City Hall for the past 4 years. And through that time, we've accomplished a lot of work by working with the community. Investments in local infrastructure in Finley Creek, we've advanced that. Bank and Leitrim, we're doing that next year, when in the original plans in the Transportation Master Plan were not till 2026. We've worked hard in the past year to bring the Trillium line to Limebank and Earl Armstrong, when initially it ended in the middle of the field. We set some money aside for the environmental assessment so we can bring the train to Barrhaven after phase 2 is complete. I secured land and funding for a new community center and library. Design started, construction's going to start next year. And we also secured land and funding for a new police station. Again, it's already under design, shovels in the ground next year. So in the 4 short years that I've been as a city councillor at City Hall, I think we've accomplished so many things. And I'm looking forward to continuing our work together. I'll continue to work hard for our community. And we do need your support, obviously. And so we encourage people to get out and vote. I know Khaled asked you if you voted. There's advanced polls tomorrow as well, Friday. And of course, the main election day, 2022. I'm very happy to see a good turnout tonight. So thank you again for taking the time out and for hosting us.
a distinguished member of the Orleans community who has continued to achieve and contribute to the city since he came to Ottawa in the 1970s. A successful and accomplished businessman appointed as a member of the Provincial Advisory Committee to the Ministry of Colleges and Universities in Automotive Technology, Ontario. Known for his care and generosity, especially to the less fortunate in the community. And my favorite part, he has great passion for cooking. In fact, he participated in the cooking series Chopped Canada. Please help me welcome Mr. Qamar Masood.
Good evening and thank you very much. APAC is doing a great job. Of course, I belong to the east end of this beautiful city, but once you're sitting in the city council, you belong to the whole city, and your problem is my problem, and my problem is your problem. So we have to have consensus build up. I'm a team player, and I like to work along with whoever will win to work our way up to see where the deficiencies are. Right now, when I see $3.4 billion of budget, I like to see maybe some kind of commission to look into it, where the wastages are. Only putting a cap on 2% tax hike is not going to satisfy me. I would like to see zero tax increase. Everybody should go home and look at their water bills. What's happening? Nobody's looking at them. Why? Because they're sneaking behind. So we have to look into all those new things. And in order to do that, I thought my best job will be to run for the city council. As Bob Manet decided not to run, I have spent more than 15 years alongside with him, trying to build bridges between different communities. Being the president of Multicultural Association of Ottawa, I have done few festivals and brought them together. Anyway, evening is long and there will be much more questions and answers. So I submit myself for you. I'm open for any question you want. Thank you.
Thank you, Qamar. That was amazing. We hear his voice every morning on the radio. He brings us the news and hosts many amazing shows. Executive producer of South and Nujum at Shin Radio. A friend to everyone. He has been named the unofficial Goodwill Ambassador of the Middle East. He contributes back to the society by volunteering and also giving voice to all our activities in the Arab community. He is an integral part of the Ottawa Arabic experience. Please help me welcome our guest of honor, the one and only Jerry Absi. Jerry, as an old resident of Ottawa and a prominent media figure, مالك متفاجئ؟
I got stumped with old.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh?
I am a senior now.
So as an old, well, as an old resident, huh? As an old resident of Ottawa and a prominent media figure, please share with us your thoughts. And how did the Arab community evolve throughout the years to be in a position to generate such a number of candidates running for municipal elections?
Thank you, Khaled. Thank you, APAC. First of all, congratulations on such an event, because it's very important for us to throw our support behind our candidates and get to know who we're supporting. Before I go and answer your question, it just dawned on me, I have 3 people I have to convince to be on Chin Radio now, because we have 2 hosts and we're missing 3. I mean, the idea is to be a host on Chin Radio. Now, Ottawa, there's no question, has evolved big time. I came here 51 years ago as a child, before I was even able to vote. And the community was so small and so integrated together as one, that we sort of knew what each other one was doing. But we thought politics was unattainable. It's so far, it's not for us. هاي لإلهم مش لإلنا. نحنا ضيوف هون. عشنا سنين وسنين نفكر نحنا ضيوف هون. And as the years evolved and as we came on, we saw that we are very much part of this town. We are very much part of this country. We helped build this town and this country. And we got to be very proud of this. And as the community grew larger and larger, we started to see how important it is for us to get involved. We got to a point right now that we've got tremendous members of the community. I mean, this year we're very lucky. Look at these gentlemen. Each and every one of them, we'd be proud to have them represent us because they bring something special to their constituents. And I'd like to give also here hats off to two men who can't be with us tonight and who have done extremely well. And that's Ilyas Shantiri, who stopped campaigning a couple of weeks ago when the hurricane came to take care of his people. He didn't care about the campaign. That's the kind of person Eli is. He has maybe 0% Arabic voters in his community, but yet he's always given himself to the community. So that's the kind of leadership that he is. George Darouz, who's also unable to be here because his commitments to his constituents, which is what we want him to do. And Michael, he didn't come late because Michael is always late. No, he's not. He had a meeting with his constituents tonight, and he gives. 4 years ago, when Michael decided to run, it was said like, okay, ما تزعل. أول مرة ما راح توصل. إذا ما وصلتش أول مرة بتقرب تاني مرة. ثالث مرة بتزبط معك. Well, he proved them not only wrong, but Michael has been a heck of a city councilor. He has worked hard, very hard. If you live in his area, I mean, I've lost count. I think he brought about 28 crosswalks for the children and stuff in that area. I don't know. Lights, he's done everything that has to be done. And then I look at these other gentlemen right here, like Hadi. Hadi's been a leader, you know. By the way, you're not that much taller than me when we're sitting down. And Hadi's been a leader for ever since he started leading the university students, and not only University of Ottawa, he also became a leader for the rest of the universities in Canada. I'm gonna go fast. I always talk.
Guest of honor.
And you know what? Hasib Rida, what more do you want from someone whose experience comes from a world of experiences, from Latin America to Canada to 4 languages. I'm sure he's going to represent his community extremely well. And Robert Swaita, what can I say about Robert Swaita? Wow. You know what? I said, one of the first things I said to Robert when I found out that he was running as a counselor, I said, man, that area cannot have a better counselor. But in all honesty, why are you doing it? You're a successful businessman, you have a family, and you barely have time for the family life now. Why are you doing this? And then he listed all the things he needs done in his area. And I realized, and I said to him, I said, it takes a very special person to do what you're doing. You are a very special person. Good luck and congratulations.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
صوفيا انهبلت وهي بتعملي بالكارت الأحمر.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, our guest of honor, Mr. Jerry Absi. Barhaven is the fastest growing, Hadi is running on Ward 3, Barhaven. Barhaven is the fastest growing community in Canada and North America, especially Ward 3, your ward, which is the biggest in Ottawa. What do you have in mind to accommodate such momentous growth? 2 minutes, please.
Very good question. Actually, Barhaven Ward 3 is the largest ward in population with about 60,000 residents and 22,000 households. We're the fastest growing community not only in Ottawa, not only in Canada, but in North America, they say. One of the major issues that I encountered in my canvassing experiences with residents at the doors is infrastructure. The Ottawa Citizen published an article about a few weeks ago that stated between 2012 and 2017, 52% of homes that were built in Ottawa are considered intensification, which means we keep densing our areas with population without looking at infrastructure. People have called for the widening of Greenbank Street and Strandherd for years now, over 15, 20 years now, and we are yet to see a widening happening. One of the major issues we have right now is the LRT extension to Barrhaven, which is the biggest infrastructure project in the history of Ottawa. By the time we will have accomplished its last phase, we will not have just only witnessed a more sustainable option that aims for a greener city, but also a more reliable option. But yet, we are still yet to pass the environmental assessment, which we have not passed since 2011. So we need to push for that to move forward and be at an earlier stage. Not to mention also, we need to invest more in development based for the people, not for the profit. One of the biggest issues we see today is that we keep densing our areas again with population, but where are these people going to commute? What happens 10, 15 years down the road when your kids want to go to university? They go to the bus stop, there are 150 people standing there. I witnessed it on Fallowfield Station in the morning, ever since 6 a.m. People are packed there. What happens when they're going to miss the first bus, the second bus, then their class? What happens when every road becomes a bottleneck? So I think we need to invest very much at infrastructure, and also make sure that we are getting the value of the money, the taxpayer money that we're paying for our property taxes, and that includes better delivery and quality of city services.
Thank you, Adi. Next up is Mr. Hasib Rida on word 16, river. My word, and I'm voting tomorrow for him. You are promoting the establishment of multilingual offices in our community, designed to reflect languages and cultures of our world. Why do you believe this is important?
Well, first of all, thank you for the question. It's a great question. We live in a very diverse country, and particularly we live in an extremely diverse city. Maybe not as diverse as Montreal and Toronto, but I also believe that even in a city like Ottawa, we need to start representing the diversity not only of individuals, but the diversity of ideas. And the best way to accomplish this is through communication. And if we can start providing adequate communication to these individuals in their language, it encourages them more to get involved in the political process and in the social services which we provide at the city level. So there's a tremendous benefit to that. Yeah, and I think we're almost stepping back as well in our bilingual services to especially our francophone-speaking residents in the city of Ottawa. We really need to amp it up. We need to start providing good training, proper training for individuals who would like to acquire French, and start respecting our French Canadian identity, because we failed in doing that tremendously. One thing which we have yet to do at the city level is officially declare Ottawa as a bilingual city. Our province has done it, and our federal government has done it. We are the nation's capital. We are the most bilingual city in Canada, and this is the next step that we need to take. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Hadi. I'm sorry. Next is Robert Swaita, word 10, Gloucester, Southgate. Sometimes proposed solutions to social issues and community needs have a negative or obstructive effect on businesses. You have this approach, if implemented, will generate the balance needed between social needs and a healthy entrepreneurial environment. How is that possible?
That's a very good question. The heart of that issue has to do a lot with what we're seeing right now with Airbnb. Airbnb is a great tool used for people to stay in different cities while they're away. But what's happening is that Airbnbs are starting to locate beside where you are raising your family. I know that firsthand because my mom has an Airbnb beside her. And what's happening is we have teams, baseball teams or hockey teams, that are coming and staying there, about 30 people in one single family home. What happens is that my mom and her neighbors lose the quality of life. We're all grown up, but there's a lot of us who have children, and most of us don't want a hotel opening up beside us in a residential area. So we need to balance this issue. Airbnb is not going to go away. But what we need to ensure is that there's regulations put in place so that our families can coexist with these businesses. Because look, at the end of the day, I'm all for business. Most of us in this room either owned a business or work with somebody who owns a business. So we need to encourage that. But at the same time, we have to respect the residents that live in the area. So we need to have regulations to ensure that respect is given for the business people and for the residents.
Thank you, Robert. Good answer. Next up is Mr. Michael Qaqish, Ward 22, Gloucester, South Nepean. You have been appointed as the special liaison for Syrian refugee resettlement by the city, and of course, you speak Arabic language. Do you think this is the reason you ended up handling this file? And how did you manage this responsibility?
Thank you, Khaled, for the question. And certainly being the refugee liaison was probably one of my highlights of this term of council in terms of a leadership role on the city front. And as Kamar pointed out earlier, certainly we represent certain geographies of the city, but we also have to have a citywide perspective when we are around the table and making decisions around the table. It's not just about focusing on our area, but how can we help the city as a whole. And as many of you know, a few years ago, we had about, we had the first waves of about 2,300 families or Syrian refugees that ended up being in Ottawa. And certainly that was of interest to me, being from Jordan and my parents being from the Middle East. And so I spoke to the mayor about taking on a leadership role. And we agreed that it's something that would be a good fit for me and also give me some good experience working with the settlement agencies, helping the newcomers integrate because I spoke their language. And so it was a lengthy process and it was a long process, and certainly for the settlement agencies that are here, they're not used to the amount of families that were coming here over a short period of time. And I see some of our friends here from the settlement agencies, from the Chinese Community Services who are here, and many of the people who from the Arab community, and not just the Arab community, but from across various communities who came together to ensure the successful integration of the Syrian newcomers. So obviously one of the first things that the mayor and I did was host a welcome celebration for those newcomers at Lansdowne Park. We hosted job fairs for them at City Hall, and we also, obviously the biggest challenge was affordable housing, and that was one of the biggest things that we learned from this, is how difficult it is to find affordable housing in the city, particularly when you have a family on average of 5 or 6 people, and how difficult it can be to find. You're cutting me off, you're giving me the cue, or no? Yes, okay. So certainly it was one of my highlights in the past 4 years to be able to work with the settlement agencies, with the community who came together to ensure the successful integration of those Syrian newcomers, and many of them now speak the language or are on their pathway to employment.
Thank you so much, Michael. By the way, you did a great job. Next up is Mr. Qamar Masood from Ward 1, Orleans. Masood, seems to me that you are calling for the amalgamation of Hydro 1 with Ottawa Hydro. And I wonder, why do you promote such an approach?
I'm a big promoter of putting money in everybody's pocket. Extra money going in your pocket other than going in the CEO's pocket is better, because what's happening right now with a lot of red tape, a lot of money is wasted. We are paying bills for no reason in many cases. Especially seniors are going through very tough time. I have few proposals to do that. Amalgamation of Ottawa Hydro and Hydro 1 was tried. I think previous councillors will know about it, that it was tried, but it didn't work out. Maybe we can chalk out another way of approaching it and try to get some results. This is the reason I want to amalgamate, to put more money in your pocket. One more thing I would mention at this point is for seniors. Right now they give you 1 day of free bus service. How about giving them all week to go and exercise off-peak hours? Off-peak hours means you're not investing any extra money. Buses are running around for no reason, so let them enjoy it. Let them come from Bayshore to come to Orleans Boulevard and go there and enjoy. I like to see that happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Qamar. Back to Ottawa is considered to be one of the highest municipal tax-paying cities in Canada. Do you think the taxes paid reflect the offered services?
It's a very good question, actually. Ottawa is considered to be one of the highest municipal tax rates in the country. That's true, and that's proven through consultations at the door. Though in my discussions with neighbors at the door, I was told that although people find it really high, residents do not mind paying the taxes should they feel that they receive the quality and delivery of city services that they deserve. That includes public transportation, garbage pickup, snow removal, policing, fire stations, and roads and infrastructure, and many other things. As you'll notice, though, is one of my two main priorities in this election, which encompass a lot of other things, is infrastructure and fiscal management that is responsible. And by this I mean, let's go back a little bit to history. In the past, I don't know, 17, 18 years ago, we used to be the city of Nepean in Barhaven. We used to be titled the PRON, the People's Republic of Nepean. We were one of 4 municipalities in Canada that didn't have a single dollar of debt. Actually, we were in the surplus. And, sorry? There you go. With the amalgamation, thank you by the way, with the amalgamation, we were swallowed by the city of Ottawa, and now, nothing against you, Michael. I'm just talking about the city in general. The current 2018 long-term debt is $2.21 billion, and about $100 million every year we use in servicing debt. The 2018 amount of servicing debt was $211 billion, and I know this is not the work of one year. This is an accumulation of years and years and years of maybe financial mismanagement. So I think the way for us to move around things is to analyze the budget from the bottom up and find ways to increase budgets of different projects without having to raise the municipal tax rate. At the end of the day, what's magical about 2%? Why not zero increase? Thank you.
Thank you, Harry. Next up is Hasib Rida. You talk about crime prevention plans that are not about employing additional police force. You have an interesting approach to dealing with this problem. Please give our audience an idea about this approach.
Yeah, so this is, thank you for the question. It's probably one of my favorite topics to discuss because I think I have one of the most unique approaches to crime prevention and overall policing in the city of Ottawa. As it stands right now, whenever there's an incident that happens, whenever crime rises, the immediate response is to hire police officers, as we saw, I believe in the summertime when they approved the hiring of 10 new police officers. And what this does is it doesn't necessarily, it's almost like a Band-Aid effect where they come and they put a Band-Aid on the situation, but they don't actually resolve the root issue. The root issue in this situation is sometimes issues of equity and the way that many marginalized people, invisible minorities, are treated in the city of Ottawa. Because we find, if you look at, for instance, my ward, a lot of the people that are committing crime are young men, are young Arab men, and from Robert's ward, it's probably even worse, so I feel even worse for him. And so we have to start resolving the root issue. How can we start doing this? What we need to do is we need to start investing in youth outreach programs, not hiring new police officers. Because if we give our youth an option, then they will succeed. They will have options, job options, language options, whatever it may be. And this is the direction that we need to move in. I mean, we're spending so much money on policing. It's taking a big toll on our budget overall. For instance, a lot of people ask me, you want to get rid of police and you want to lower transit, you want to do all these different projects. I don't think we're really maximizing the potential that we have to receive funding from our provincial and federal government. Just as an example on the crime prevention, which I'm discussing, our federal government is offering $320 million just for crime control strategies that we can employ at the city level, 50 million of which is only for innovative crime prevention techniques. I don't see any as city councilors openly discussing this, trying to maximize this, and changing the direction that we're going in.
Thank you, Hasib. Time is up. By the way, next is related to crime and to crime prevention. And many of us in the Arab communities in Ottawa have large families, and it's very challenging financially to be able to provide our children with extracurricular activities that contribute to their development. Please, Robert, tell us about your unique approach to deal with these challenges.
Okay, yeah. So this is actually the reason, one of the main reasons why I decided to run. And just like my colleague Hasib here, we have sistering wards. We have very similar issues. Our wards have an excessive amount of crime, and there's no need for that. We need to address the issue, just as Hasiba said, with the root cause. We need to ensure that we invest in our youth. We need better after-school programs. We need better mentorship. We need better leadership. But not only do we have to invest in our youth, we need our youth to invest back into our communities. And the reason why I say this is because if the youth don't feel that they have a sense of ownership, then it'll be easy for them to fall back into crime. But when they feel that they're part of the solution, things will change. And this is exactly what we need to do, especially in our communities. And I know it's a very sensitive subject, but we have to say the truth until the problem is fixed. And that's why it's important to have counselors that represent the diversity in their communities.
استعمل بتطوطاي شوي يمكن. Thank you, that was good. So you're calling for keeping schools open? هالموضوع بس shortly please.
Yes, so a lot of it, they talk about opening up new recreational centers. And they're great, but we already have the facilities. We just need to capitalize on it. I know a lot of people, I talked to Abdel, he's a guidance counselor at Ridgemont High School, the high school that I went to. He spends, when he finishes his work at 3 o'clock, he stays there till 9 o'clock to do after-school programs for the youth. And he has to pay $160 a week to keep that school open. We already paid for that school. It should be free.
Yes. Bravo. That's good. That's good. On a different topic with Mr. Qaqish now. On your first term, you made promises to your ward residents. For sure, lots were challenging, and you faced lots of challenges, be Findlay Creek infrastructure, land use, which were the hardest. My question to you, was it hard to keep your promises?
Well, with all due respect to my colleagues here, it's always easier to make promises and commitments when you're on the outside, and government is always a bit more challenging on the inside. But I think if you work hard and you set reasonable goals and expectations, and you do have to roll up your sleeves and get dirty sometimes and make those changes. And certainly, I'll give you an example of infrastructure. One of the most frustrating things, and Hadi sort of hit the nail on the head on this, especially in the suburbs, our issues are a bit different than some of my colleagues here, but we have a lot of growth, a lot of development, whether it's in Riverside South, Findlay Creek, Barrhaven, Orleans, Canada, all the suburbs now, the market's hot, everybody wants to buy a house. Unfortunately, the infrastructure is not there. So when I first got elected in the Transportation Master Plan, there was no plans for anything in Findlay Creek before 2026. And what we did is with Councillor Derouz, who's my neighbor there to the south, we got all the developers in a room and we asked them to front end the detailed design. Obviously, developers wouldn't necessarily want to do that on their own. Why would they want to spend millions of dollars? So we held up some of their applications at planning. So sometimes you have to be creative. And as a result of that, they agreed, because they also understand that if they want to sell homes and you're driving to their sales center on Bank Street and you see the traffic there, you're not going to want to buy a house there. So they understand that there's a vested interest for them as well to front end or help with that infrastructure. We brought the Hard Rock as well with their application. Obviously, they're investing millions and millions of dollars in a new, not just casino, that's one aspect, but they're also building a theater, a steakhouse, and it's going to be a nice entertainment facility. So they also have an interest in making sure Earl Armstrong, Albion, Leitrim, all that infrastructure is there. So we brought these people in. We front-ended the detailed design, and we're doing shovels in the ground next year. That's more than 6 years ahead of schedule, which is 2026. So things can be done, but sometimes within the rigidity of City Hall and the government and the bureaucracy, sometimes you can't get things done. So you have to sometimes elbow your way through things, or sometimes, you know, do some arm twisting and get creative to get results. And sometimes, you know, that achieves the goals that you're looking for and advances them in terms of timelines.
Bravo. Mr. Qamar, you are always talking about putting money in Ottawans' pockets. You just actually did. Through cutting on expenses and lowering taxes. I also understand that you have a very serious idea to promote small businesses right at the heart of Orleans. Give us an idea, please.
Thank you. It's a great question. I wish I was in Orleans with the audience right now, because the key is, as you know, City Hall looks for the money. When they were looking for box stores on Innis Road, they totally forgot about the downtown Orleans, which was St. Joseph. St. Joseph Boulevard was the heart of the Orleans, totally neglected. What is happening now? Roads, if you don't want to take your car there, when I talked to the councillor, he said, yeah, we are trying to do our best. Of course, their turnover to check the roads is about 3 to 4 years. They have to cut it down to 2 years or something to fix the roads. They're not doing it. My objective will be, once I'm in the office with the help of my colleagues who are sitting here, I wish all of them to be there along with me so that we can have a base and we talk about putting the proper money at the proper place. I'm talking about middle lane in St. Joseph Boulevard, so that easily you can turn and easily you can get up. But it can only be achieved if the roads are fixed first. So we need some money for that. Naturally, there is money lying around. Naturally, it's not used at the proper time. As you know, we were all relying on LRT, especially people in Orleans. That was the big thing for us. Now it's in back burner. And a lot of people were running, just carrying LRT and trying to run the election. Now what are you going to do? LRT is not there anymore. So we have to come up with a second plan. I will request Mr. Marconi or whoever in charge for OC, bring the prices down so that people can use the buses. It's cheaper for me to take my kids from Orleans to Rideau Center, 4 of them in a car, as to send them in a bus. How are you going to achieve your goals? I think we have our priorities all screwed up, mixed up. We have to come up with a plan where we all can sit down. Whatever is done is done. We're not going to go and dig our graves again. Just look into it, how we can improve. And I'll be looking forward to work along with whoever get elected. And when I'm sitting there, my hands will be always open. My arms will be open to hug them. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Quick question for our wonderful audience. Do you guys think we have lots of questions? Just show me arms so I know how to deal with timing issues. Okay, not many so far. So I'm gonna keep it for 2 minutes per answer for now. So our third and last question per our candidates on Ward 3, Barhaven, Mr. Hadi West. You talk about community cohesiveness and interactivity through town halls and consultations. I also understand that you have a combination of approaches to help achieve this community, cohesiveness through safety. Please elaborate.
Very great point. before we start talking about increasing cohesiveness, we have to realize that promoting safety in our neighborhoods to our residents and constituents is key to cohesiveness, to a more united society and community as well. One of the issues that we're going through in Barhaven at the moment is the lack of police presence. We used to have a police station on Green Bank and Hunt Club. It's still there, but it's now drastically understaffed due to the underfunding. It's taking a lot of money, resources, and time to hire and train new officers, not to mention that a lot are retiring as well due to the end of their services. Credits go to Councillor Kakish actually for fighting for a new location on the Ward 22 side for a police station. But at the moment in Ward 3, which is our side, we're left with no police station technically. Ask all of yourselves actually, one of the major concerns that I've hit at the doors about 95% of people is rampant speeding on their streets. Can everybody hear me? In a speed limit of 30-40, you'll often see cars driving by 70, 80 to 100 kilometers per hour, and that's actually a very dangerous approach when it comes to our neighborhoods. Parents are scared to send their kids down to play in the front lawns because they're afraid of a car, God forbid, like running them over. So now in Barhaven, the situation is if you call, if God forbid you run into an accident and you call the cops, if it's not a priority because it's not fatal, it might take 6, 7, 8, 9 hours for the cops to show up, and if they don't have anyone to supply, they might call you and say, we can't send someone. And if they were to send someone, they would either send them from Canada or from Elgin downtown. So one of the things that we're talking about is one of the things that I'm committed as well to doing if once elected is supporting our police force, number one, working alongside the other councillors to make sure we fast track the opening of that police station on Prince of Wales, I think, right, Michael? Yeah. And also investing in our neighborhood watch programs. This is a wonderful program that promotes cohesiveness, neighbors for neighbors. Working alongside our community associations and our school board trustees to raise awareness to issues like mental health and sexual violence and other things. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So up next, Hasib from Ward 16 River. You are calling for the revival of the falling OC transport rideshare, making it more affordable and practical. Please give me an idea of how do you plan to do that, please?
Yeah, so one of the ways that, and Khaled alluded to it earlier, but one of the ways that we can start helping resolve our OC transport issue is by making transit more affordable. I mean, in many cases, they spend a lot of time talking about efficiency. We need transit that's more efficiency. But the reality is that even if you have the most efficient transit system in the world, nobody will ride it if it's not affordable. There's families, for instance, especially our families, we sometimes have 5 or 6 kids. If you have teenage children and they need to get from point A to point B, and you need to buy them OC Transpo Pass, we're talking about spending nearly $80, even with the Equipass, per child. And this is completely unacceptable. We can't be in an era where families are starved of their ability to mobilize throughout our city. So so what we need to do is we need to start modeling our transit after very successful cities across the world. One of which, one city which has high ridership is Montreal, and their transit is around $80, and they have very successful ridership. And this is just for the regular transit. So if you require financial assistance, we have to start talking about having transit at around $40. And it's not only to make it more affordable so that people ride. We also have a big responsibility to our environment. As matters get worse, we're only going to spend even more money to deal with environmental catastrophes. I mean, we experienced a tornado. I mean, we cannot anticipate those things, but we don't know what we will anticipate in 20, 30, 40 years, and we don't know how much money we're going to have to spend in order to resolve that. So one of the ways to help help deal with environmental issues and have a good environmental footprint is by encouraging transit and building a culture of transit riders, just as they do in many successful European cities.
Thank you, Hasib. Allah, that's a very nice thing. My daughter is always in the bus, and I definitely welcome such things. Mr. Robert Swaita, Ward 10, Gloucester, Southgate. Commuting has become a major issue for residents in Ottawa. There has been so many ideas to help solve this problem. With Hunt Club and Bank intersection and the Airport Parkway in your ward, Please give us an insight to your solution for residents to go home and work faster and in return have a better quality life.
That's a very good question. As I mentioned at the beginning, there's a few issues that forced me to run and engaged me to run. As I mentioned, I grew up in the Hunt Club South Keys area. I was born in 1974, and I remember as a child, in 1985, the city talked about expanding the airport parkway to 4 lanes. 2018, the ward that I'm running in is pretty much fully built. As we all know, the ward that Michael Kakish represents is growing very rapidly up in Finley Creek. There's 2 ways to get in and out of these areas, Airport Parkway and the 417. And every day, we get stuck in traffic. I remember, and again, my ward is neighboring as well as Michael Kakish's ward. Bank Street was 4 lanes all the way to Leitrim. And then it became 2 lanes. And that was like that ever since I was a child. Again, the communities are growing, the infrastructure is not keeping up. And it's great to have LRT and public transportation. But when you live in the suburbs, they are not as convenient as they are in the city. We need to address this issue. We need to invest in our infrastructure. A lot of times, our priorities are misplaced. There's been a lot of focus on bike lanes for the last, I don't know how many years, 10 years, 15 years. But our wards keep expanding outside of the city. And we need to ensure that everybody has a good way and a quick way to get home at night because their quality of life suffers.
Thank you. ايدنا بزنارك زي ما بيقولوا لانه احنا victims of hunt club وبانك والموضوع هذا. Amazing. Michael, word 22 Gloucester South Nepean. Your last question. This is the second time you are running for city councillor. How do you play this one differently? Ella.
Can I call a friend? So I think, you know, being the incumbent, as I'm finding out now, has its advantages and has its disadvantages. You know, one of the things that, and I wrote an op-ed today in the Ottawa Citizen, and I encourage everyone to take a look at it. It's just a quick 400-word, 2-minute read, basically summarizing some of the work we've done over the last 4 years. So I think as an incumbent, and you know, the mayor always says this, you can either run away from your record or you run on your record. And so in that piece that I wrote today, I highlighted the things that I've done over the last 4 years, and I'm very proud of the work we've done. You know, I look at Barhaven, for example. I started in the western side of the ward. We did Prince of Wales intersection modifications. We did the multi-use pathway at the Farm Boy. We did the Chapman Mills BRT this term of council. Next year, we're going to be widening Strandherd from the Costco to the Home Depot. And we're also opening up the Transportation Master Plan next term of council, which hopefully we can continue to fight for investments in infrastructure in Barhaven. It is, as you know, my colleague said, it's a multifaceted solution. There's no overnight fix for traffic. It's a bit of public transportation. It's a bit of road infrastructure. And the reality is the south end got the short end of the stick when the council of 2006 canceled north-south rail. Because we would have had the LRT, we would have had the trains running in Barhaven, Riverside South, and that's why those communities got shortchanged. That's why we have some of the gridlock that we do now. You see, if you're ever on Chapman Mills, the high density that's there in that big median where we just put BRT, that was supposed to be where the train is running. And so that's obviously set us back quite a bit. But you know, we're picking up the pieces and we're investing in infrastructure where we can. And you know, as I said, one of the other things that I'm very proud of is we secured land and funding for a new community center and library, which we don't have in Riverside South. We have a small one at Spratt and Shoreline. We have a new big one that's going to be coming at Linebank and Earl Armstrong that's going to serve Riverside South and Finley Creek. Again, when I was first elected, that wasn't even in the affordability of the city.
Thank you very much. I would say he kept his promise. Yeah? He did. Bravo, Michael. So, Mr. Qamar, last question for Ward 1 Orleans. Highway 174 is a main commuting in and out of Orleans. It is a terrible place to be during rush hour. You have a great solution for this important problem, yes, and yet it is cost effective. Please share with us your thoughts.
Great question, and I hope people from Canada, they are very smart, because people in Orleans, especially our counselors, never learn anything from them. Why don't they open up a carpool lane in 174? It's already there. Nothing wrong. But they never activated that, and we are paying heavy price for it, because in a dream of LRT. We were thinking LRT is going to be coming soon. We'll be using the train. Who cares about this 174? Now, we got to use it. So I'm proposing that open up carpool lanes in 174, so that if you guys want to visit some of your friends, you don't have to get stuck in the deadlock over there. This is my solution without spending any penny, because it's there. And this is the solution. One more thing, I was hearing about problems in South End, crime rate and all that. Luckily, we don't have that much of a crime rate, but it's catching on. So prevention is the key. So we thought about it, instead of hiring more police officers, we should have facilities where youngsters can go and, punch each other or enjoy their lifetime, instead of going around and getting into some stuff which everybody don't want to have it, but otherwise anyways is getting it. So watch out. I'm not saying it, but you all know what I'm talking about. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Back to our guest of honor, Mr. Jerry Absi. So if we can get the mic to him. Jerry, what do you think we can do as a community to promote a wider range of community engagement with municipal issues, generate more candidates, preferably women, in our discussion panel next term, and overall bigger Arab vote?
Well, having successful candidates and councillors like Mr. Kakish, like Eli Shantiri and George Druz will help facilitate a lot of the younger and even middle-aged or even older people, to encourage them to run. But it all starts with us right here, because unfortunately we are the lowest in numbers of people who go out and vote. The Arabic community should be ashamed of itself in the actual numbers. We are the third most spoken language in the Ottawa-Gatineau area, after English, French, and then Arabic's number 3. And that is a stat that comes from Statistics Canada. That does not come from Jerry Absi. So it's very, very important to show, because we hear that a lot in our media. We hear it a lot. You know what? What the heck's going on with the city of Ottawa? They closed Preston Street for the Italians. They closed this street for so-and-so. But us, they go around and give us tickets for the Lebanese festival. And you know what? Honestly, that's not how the city works, obviously. But honestly, politicians care about the people that vote for them. They look at their voters list. They don't know who you voted for. They don't know who you voted for. They just know whether your name has been ticked off or not. And you know what? Our names are flashlights of who we are. We are Arabic. And believe it or not, that's what they look at. So when you can't really go out asking for anything to be done to you as a community if you're not participating in the most democratic thing that they give us. It is the one reason we all came to this country, to live in a democratic process and to have our say. Over 148 years ago, the first immigrant from our country came here. Let's, out of respect for them and for our children's future, let's participate. and let's go out and vote. That's the only way we're gonna do it. And just, I know you're running out of time. Just one thing. You know what? They all have, everybody has a team working for them. But you know what? You're the biggest team that these gentlemen have come election day. Because it's up to each and every one of us. Get your wife out to vote. Get your daughter, your son to go and vote. You go out and vote. Ladies, get your husbands out to vote. Call your neighbors. Call your friends. And push them. Bug them. Did you vote? Remind them. You guys are the biggest part of their team is by picking up that phone on election day and vote. And you know what? Tomorrow is advanced poll day. Trust me, you might be busy on election day. Something could happen. Go out and vote tomorrow. Get it out of the way and vote. And good luck to all of these candidates, because you know what? I'm personally very proud of each and one of them because they are very smart. They're going to represent them extremely well. And I know it's hard sometimes when we have someone that's running for office that really, doesn't represent us well, but these guys, you heard them tonight. They're doing well.
Thank you. So again, with this, we have concluded our discussion for tonight. We hope we have presented good content and gave you the chance to meet the candidates and discuss matters with them. Quick reminder that tomorrow, the 12th, you can cast your vote at your own word. So please beat the lines and vote tomorrow. If not, October 22nd, we look forward to everyone voting. I thank each one of you for attending. I thank our candidate, our guest of honor, and I thank APAC, their board. I'm gonna start mentioning names really quickly. Rula Shraide for an amazing decoration work. Sophia Al-Atiyat for handling the time. Musa for his beautiful contribution on the catering. Samer Hamoudi, Ihab, Samer Qasim, Dr. Habib. Thank you very much. وجوني خوري وجمال واخوي يزيد فور شوتينج ولما وينها كانت قاعده هون وجنان ولحالكم بالله اعطونا بيج ابلوز.
مساء الخير جميعا. بس باسم الجمعيه العربيه الفلسطينيه بحب اشكركم جميعا. شكرا خالد على هالامسيه الحلوه طبعا مع الخبره تاعتك. قبل ما تروحوا في قهوه في ديزيرتس للجميع واهلا وسهلا فيكم وحظا سعيدا جميعا. Good luck. Introduce everybody by Arabic and welcome them. I welcome you now in Urdu. I say اهلا وسهلا. हमको बहुत खुश हुआ आज तुम हमारे पास है. बहुत खुश हुआ. شكرا. تصبحوا على خير وما تنسوا تاخذوا القهوه والديزرت تاعكم معكم. شكرا.